Alright, today we back working on my 2006 Polaris Sportsman 700. Been having a problem when I get up to probably 35-40 miles an hour. The front of it begins to shake real bad. And that's been going on about 3 years now. And over the years I've been changing suspension parts thinking that was the problem. But now I come to find out here up under my headlight bezel where the handlebar go down to go to the tie rod ends and everything, it's got some play in it. And looking up under here, I see that there's some bushings that go around that shaft that goes down in there. So I'm gonna replace that bushing. It came with a kit. It had the bearings to go in the bottom, and the two bushings, and there's two washers that go with that kit. So to do this the right way, I'm gonna have to take off the tank, the fenders, the front, probably both tires to get to the bolt that holds that shaft down in the front suspension. So let's get started. On this 2006 model, we got 4 bolts. These are half inch bolts. This is a standard bolts. They're not metric. So we got 4 bolts here that we have to take loose. I already got them loose here for us, so we can go through this pretty quickly. And here up under where the radiator cap is, we got 2 push pins, like for trim, door trim or fender trim. There's just 2 pins on either side of this housing here that holds the fuses. So we got those pins out, and right here is 2 holes, and they got some a star wrench torque screws down inside these 2 holes, and there's 2 holes on this other side here also. So these 4 bolts, or 4 screws, you have to take out. And up under the fender here in the front, up on the bottom of it, there are also 2 more screws, star head torque screws on that side, and there's 2 on this other side here. So we got those already removed to make this faster. So when we put this down, we should be able to just lift this out the way before we can the next step is to remove this fender. The next step is we want to remove the seat so we can get the seat out the way. We want to remove these side panels, and they just slip off on both sides. They got little push tabs that go in these little rubber grommets. So we just want to pull those off before we can get to this fender part here. So we got to remove the gas tank also that's up on this fender. Looking at it, we got some more plastic trim clips here, and we probably got some more on the other side. And we got a bolt here that's holding this top part of this fender on either side here. So let me get those loose, and we'll come back and keep going and remove the tank. Okay, now that we got the 2 plastic panel clips on this side and the other side, this fender fits down in like a slot, like a groove that's in this bottom foot support here. I got that loose on both sides. Then there was a 3/8 bolt here on either side of this cover here, and I got that removed also. And on the front, it's a little plastic, just a little plastic clip that you just got 2 little tabs on the front. You want to push those back and before you can pull it out. Now this tank, I forgot else. Got to take the gas cap off and make sure you don't drop anything down in that tank. So this should come off now. Get around the other side here. Put the four-wheel in park, which I should have done in the first place. Just take your time and don't get in no hurry, and so you don't break anything. And you should be able to walk it off. And it's kind of flimsy, so make sure you don't fold it up and then break in the middle. So now I got that off, I'm going to go ahead and put the gas cap back on for nothing to fall in there. Okay, now most people hadn't seen this part of their four-wheeler at all, because this is my first time being this deep in this four-wheeler. As you can tell, it's kind of dirty, but we're not concerned about that right now. So our next step is to get this tank off. In the back side of this tank, it's got two 3/8 bolts holding it to the frame here, and I think in the front it's just slid in. I don't think it's any bolts holding it to the front, but we got a vent hose right here that we got to remove, and we're going to remove the air cleaner here in the back to get the air cleaner out the way. Okay, so let me get these two bolts loose and see if it's anything else holding this tank on, so we can get that off. Okay, I just want you guys to see here, taking these bolts off in the back for the tank here. It's got the bracket for the actual fender this is what holds the fender down on the back side. So remember to, you see how this bracket follows the tank contour here? Remember when we put it back on, these are where these brackets go, and they lean to the front. I want to show you on the other side the same thing. It's got the same bracket. We're just gonna take that bracket off also. Down here on the side, this is part of the air intake, and it's separate from the actual tank, but it runs on the top of the tank, and we got to remove, it's a little clamp here that we have to just unscrew, just one of those like a hose clamp. We just unscrew it right here, but I did have to remove one of them little plastic panel clamps here to be able to pull this back enough to get to this hose clamp and just unscrew it with a flathead screwdriver. And before we go any further, I'm going to disconnect the negative battery side of the battery here, just so we won't have any problems about any spark dealing with this gas tank. Okay, I've been trying to figure out how to get this it's actually the intake for the clutch over here. I guess it gives it fresh air to cool that clutch, but I had to basically move that clamp out the way, that hose clamp, and actually try to pull this up to get it to come loose from the gasket here, and to get it outside of the fender here, to be able to get it off and under this little cut that's on this gas tank. And once you pull it off under that gas tank, you can twist it and you can just jiggle it to get it out of there. I've been on that for probably about 10 minutes, so just wanted to make sure you guys see that part of it before you won't have to spend the time I spent on it trying to get it out. Okay, now that we got the intake duct for the clutch out the way, we can see the fuel sending unit right here on top of the gas tank. It's got an electrical connection that's here, and it's got a little clip here. We'll unloosen that clip. Trying to be careful not to break it. So that comes loose. Then we got a little clip here on the actual fuel hose that comes out of the top of this sending unit here. So it's got a little white clip on it, and all I had to do was it's a little bottom tab and the top tab, and I just pushed them together to get it to pop out. And it just, I don't think it slides all the way out. I just think it comes loose when you can pull that off of that tank. And be careful not to break it. Okay, we should be able to take this tank off. I just took the gas cap back off to give me this little extra room between this light housing here, this headlight housing. And so I just stuffed the cleanest rag I could find just on the top, not all the way down before they get soaked with gas. But so we should be able to lift this off. This is another air intake. Looks like it's going to the actual motor, but I don't want to take that off because I'd have to take a couple more hose clamps off at the bottom here. So I'm going to try to take it off without taking this. It's got some give to it. So I'm going to try to lift this motor straight up because I've been trying to pull it, the back up and trying to pull it out. It won't move that way. So I got to lift it straight up, and it does have gas in it. You should drain this tank to begin with, but I didn't want to go through that step. So I'm just pulling that up from the middle, and hopefully I can wrestle that out without breaking anything. Just making sure there's nothing else holding it. Getting my hoses and stuff out the way here. Okay, I'm just letting it sit here so I can make sure there's nothing else holding it on the bottom. So I think we got that out. We did all that to get to this little bracket here. It's got some rubber bushings that the handlebar shaft goes down into the front here. You can see, well, I can see, I don't know if you can see it, but the bushings are ate up and they are broke, and the front end's got play in it. So the simple fix is just to take this bracket off and put new plastic bushings in there, and don't worry about doing the bearings down in the bottom here. So I'm gonna go freehand real quickly just to show you here at the bottom where this shaft goes down into the front end here, and these are both your tie rod ends. Right on the bottom of this, it's got a plate. It's got a bearing in it that shaft rotates in the middle of. Like I said, this is a 2006, and it's 2017 now, so we talking 9 years. And since I'm this close, I think I'm gonna do it the right way and go ahead and try to get to that bearing there. So if I didn't want to mess with the bearing, all I would have to do is take this bracket off and replace the bushings inside of it and put it back on and finish the install. But now that I gotta get to that bearing. I gotta get to the matter of fact, that the book says I need to take this top housing off. As I look at it, I don't think I need to. Once I take this loose, that shaft should move after I take the tie rod ends loose right here. So once I take these tie rod ends loose, that should be able to move up and down once this bracket is removed. So let's try that, and if not, we'll go ahead and take the top off, but I don't think we need to. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the inner tie rod loose from both sides off the handlebar shaft here. So I'm just going to, and these are actually 14 millimeters. The 9/16 fit on there, but it had a little play on it, and the 14 millimeter fit on there more tighter than the 9/16. So now I got that one out of the way. I'm gonna take off the other side also. I'll probably get to it on this side. So now I got the handlebar shaft here loose. Now this next part is going to be the toughest part of all, because it has a castle nut that's holding this shaft on with a collar pin in it. So now I got to find a way to get to this collar pin, straighten it out, and get a wrench on there big enough for that castle bolt, because that castle bolt is, you know, 1¼ inch, 1/16 nut on that. So let me see if I can find a way to get up under there. I might have to get on my back and see if I can actually see that. I did get my 4-wheeler jack out to jack it up so I can get the wheels to move easily off the ground here, and that might help me be able to get up under there before I can see the shaft, that the castle nut that's on the bottom of that handlebar shaft that goes right on top of the front differential. So okay, what I opted to do, it's a plate that holds the bearing and that castle nut at the bottom of this this shaft. The kit comes with a new plate and bearing. It doesn't come with a new nut, castle nut on the bottom, but trying to get that nut off the bottom was just unrealistic. So what I'm opted to do now is try to get that plate, and hopefully all that just comes up as one unit. But the bolts, there's 2 bolts on either side of this plate holding it down, and they're difficult themselves just to get to. So I just got this first one. I'm sorry, hitting the camera. I just got this first one loose here with a 1/2 inch open face wrench, and I'm having to just barely turn it 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, flipping the wrench as I go. But I did get it out. So, and it's just a regular bolt that doesn't have a nut on top. It goes down in a little keyway. So I got to get the other bolt off the other side. I just wanted to show you guys that what I opted to do, instead of trying to take that nut and that collar pin out the bottom. So hopefully all that'll just slide up. But I left the top bolted up for it wouldn't be flimsy and flopping as I do this. So do the bottom first, then you go up and disconnect the shaft off the top here. So okay, now I'm gonna try to take this top loose. I got the bottom 2 screws out of that plate. I'm not gonna be able to move this just out the way because it's got a lot of stuff still hooked up to it, hoses and wires and stuff to run the all the controls on the handlebars here. But I just want to see if I can move that up enough to get that calcer nut, before I can get to that calcer nut on the bottom of this shaft at the very bottom, to be able to remove that calcer nut without having to work on it down in the bottom in that hole down there. So if I can get it to come up, you know, 6 inches, that would help a lot. So right now I'm just loosening the 2 bolts on this, one on this side, one on this side. So once we get those loose, this should move freely. Hopefully it just doesn't fall down, which I doubt it will. So, and we're gonna see if we can get that to come up, you know, about 6 inches. Okay, I got the 2 bolts out with the nuts. Just let you guys know, these 2 nuts was holding these bolts in are locking nuts. They recommend that you replace those nuts when you remove them, because they don't hold as good once you put them back. So we got this bracket loose, so we just pull this bracket off. As you can see, these bushings, they old and brittle. They just crumble in my hand here, so they should have been replaced a long time ago. So now that we got that off, we're going to see if we can move this shaft. Okay, I found my scissors. I'm just cut this one zip tie that's holding this harness for it won't move here. Trying to get some more wiggle room on this harness. Okay, I got that collar pin bent back out the way. Now I'm able to move it and lay it to the side where I can get to the bottom of it here. Let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, now that I got the shaft bent over, see, I can get to this collar pin and this calcer nut on the bottom of the shaft here. Working on it below was just too difficult. So I just decided to take the 2 bolts that was holding this plate down to be able to move it out the way. So we can work on it a lot better and easier here. Like I said, I need to bend that collar pin out. Before we can take it out. Because that would have been almost impossible with it down in that hole that it came out of. As you can see, this plate has a bearing inside of it. So we got a new plate, we got a new bearing. We can reuse the old calcer nut. So now we got to get the calcer nut off. Let me see if I got a wrench big enough to go over top of this nut. Alright, I had to bring out the big boy toys for this one. This is a 1.5 inch socket. I bought this set from Harbor Freight because I needed a big set working on tractors and bush hogs and all that kind of stuff. So let's see if she'll come off without fighting us too bad. Okay, I got a screwdriver in the holes where the tie rods go in, just to be able to brace up against this frame here. And I did break it loose, so now it comes loose. We can get this calcer nut off. But now we got this off. As you can see, let me prop this back up here. As you can see, we have the plate, we have the washer on top of the bearing, the washer on the bottom of the bearing, and the calcer nut. So like I said, that bearing, it fits in that plate, but it doesn't go through that plate. So I'm just going to make sure I take out the new one and see if all that fits the same way. Okay, we got the new set here, and it did come with a new plate. a new bearing, and the two washers. Looking at it though, I believe this bearing is going to have to be pressed inside this bracket here, which is no problem. I do have a little Harbor Freight press over here that we can press that back in. I believe a lot of problem with that was with the new one. If you can see, this bearing is kind of rounded, and it fits in there loosely. I mean, well, not loosely, but it fits in there, and it's flush with the top. So I think that was pressed in there at some time. So this new one is going to have to be pressed in there to get it flush with the top of the this bracket here. It's not tapered, you know, like that other one. Both sides look the same. So we're gonna go ahead and set the press up, get that pressed in there. Okay, we over at the press. This press is not used much, but it's a little Harbor Freight deal, and it works pretty good for small stuff. So, well, we got that in. We got the plate on the bottom flat, and we got the bearing on top. I'm trying to get the bearing in there as straight as possible just to start with. And we're going to put this plate on top here, and we're just going to crank her down. Make sure that's in the center. Trying to get it the center of that bearing for it to go down straight. A little bit by a little bit, but like I said, it's not going down straight. So you know, you just want to turn it a little bit to get to the side that's not going down straight, to even it up. But we're almost there. Okay, we got one side in there, the other side just a little bit. So I'm just gonna turn it, get this last side in there. We should be good. Looks like it's flush on all sides now. So we're gonna take it back over to the four-wheel and start putting it back together. Okay, we're gonna put it back together. Like I said, first it was a washer, then the bracket with the flush part standing up, then it was another washer, then the castle nut. So we'll get that tightened up, and we'll go back and put her back in the hole that she came out of. Alright guys, I turned this back on to be perfectly honest with you. I've been on trying to tighten this bolt for the last 30 minutes. To tighten enough to get where this collar pin would line up, the holes would line up. I had to actually get a pipe wrench with a cheater bar on it and my big ratchet to tighten that up enough for this castle nut would be tight instead of back one slot here. And I still got good movement on the bearing here, so I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that tighten this nut up, you're gonna have to have something to hold that shaft, which I got vice grips on it that I've been trying to hold the shaft, and I got it laid over right now, and like I said, it's been a booger. So I just want to let you guys know you're gonna have to have something to hold this shaft, because like I said, it's not taking off. You don't have it in a vise somewhere. You're gonna actually have to have a pipe wrench or something that's gonna hold the round shaft here. So okay, now that we got the bottom bearing in place, we just got it set in there right now. We're going to work on the top before we can put the screws in the bottom, so it won't be sliding around and moving around. I'm going to get some, I got a little bit of anti-seize I'm going to put inside this bearing that goes around this shaft for the slide around in there real good and won't have any drag, because this bushing goes around there pretty tight, so I don't want it to get dry and basically damage the bushing that goes around it. So I want to be able to slide, so I'm just going to put a little anti-seize inside this bushing, basically just like some grease that might, I think this anti-seize will stay in there a little better. I'm just going to put a little bit around the shaft here too. So I'm going to place the bearing with the flat parts going to the back. And get the bracket to go out over the outside of it. Make sure everything is lined up in there nice and not binded. Get all the hoses out the way. Try to put the bolt in here to hold it. Get one of the nuts. The other side here. Okay, once I get this in, I'm gonna go back down at the bottom, start putting the bolts back down the bottom plate. Okay, now I got the top bushing in with the bracket on it. I got that nice and tight. We're moving pretty good. Got a nice smooth movement. We're gonna go down to the bottom plate here and put the bolts inside that, and that way we can go ahead and put the tie rod ends back on and basically start putting everything back together. Okay, we got the two bolts in the bottom plate here. Just checking that we still got good smooth movement. So now we're gonna just go ahead and put the tie rod ends back on both sides, and we'll be done with the bottom part. So then we can come back up and start putting on the gas tank and then the fenders. All right, now we got the tie rod ends installed with the bolts. I did put a little anti-seize on these bolts just for the future. They was a little rusted, not too bad, but we got that in, and just checking everything. We got still good movement. You shouldn't have to worry about alignment because we never moved the adjustment bolts here on these tie rod ends, so everything should be right where it was when we started. I just want to add this: now is a good time to if you wanted to change your spark plugs or anything. The spark plugs are right here on top, and look at it, everything, make sure everything's good and tight. This breather hose for the engine here was loose. As you can see, it's kind of wet around that, and I don't know how long that's been loose. So I put some blue Loctite on the screws here and tightened it back up. So, you know, that could have been loose for years. I never knew it until I took off this gas tank. Okay, we're going to put the gas tank back in. I want to try to get this hose out the way before it won't get broke. There we go. And that wasn't too bad, was it? Alright, so in the front here, we got the hose connection for the tank. Like I said, it's just a plastic clip. We're just going to try to get this hose slid on there. Make sure it's all the way down, bottomed out, and just push that clip on there, and that clip holds it on there. So make sure that's good and secure. We got that one connection for the fuel pump, and make sure that's back connected. Alright, we got the clutch intake hose here, so we're just gonna walk it back in place. I gotta get the bottom end over here first. So now I just want to walk it back in place. This rubber connection here that's behind this little panel here, just like a little rubber piece that goes over that you can put that clamp on. Like I said, I got the back side on. It's just this little front here. Okay, I got that in, but it needs to slide. There it goes. Alright, we got that in. Now all I need to do is tighten up this little hose clamp here to clamp her down. When we do that, we can go ahead and put the bolts in with the brackets that hold the fender on the gas tank. I was telling everybody that you want to check all your connections here, and I found, just looking before I put the fender and stuff back on this, I found this connection here. It actually got a broken wire, and it's got the other wires chafed and about to break itself. I don't know what that is, but I know I need to fix that before I go any further, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix that. I just wanted to let you guys know that's why you just need to look at all your connections, because you never know what could have got up in there and started eating on them or that type thing over the years. So I'm gonna keep on looking in here to make sure it's no other broken wires or anything like that, and I'm gonna just fix what I see. Okay, now we're gonna try to put the fender back on. What I did was I put the air filter top back on. I put the little air vent hose back on the gas tank here, and put the brackets on that holds the fender on here on the gas tank, and just put the little foam. I don't know what that does. I guess it just keeps a lot of dirt and stuff off in here, but I got that put back on. I think that's about it. So now we're going to try to get this fender back on without breaking it. There we go. Got around the gear shift. I'm going to have to take this rag out the way now. And like I said, I want to get it up under the headlight here. Just make sure you're looking at every connection around. Make sure you're not snagging any wires. Okay, got it around on this side and this side. Insert it down this little slot that it goes in. Okay, do the other side the same way. We got that in. First thing I want to do is put this gas cap back on. I don't want any dust and debris get it back in that gas cap. But now we can connect the two screws that hold the side of the gas tank here to the fender. We want to put the two little push tabs back in the front here that holds it down over here by the radiator cap. After that, we can go ahead and put the tool case back on and get the screws and put that back on. So we almost there. Alright guys, we got everything put back on. We got the compartment at the front put back on with the 4 screws that's holding it in the inside. We got the 2 screws on each side of the compartment holding the fender on. Remember, it's 2 screws at the bottom that's holding the fender on both sides. We got the side compartments in. We hooked the battery back up. And I think that's about it, guys. If I had to put a time on this this process, it probably took me about 3 hours straight through if I wasn't filming. Other than that, it wasn't too bad. That way you could get to some stuff that you need to take a look at and maintain. Like I said, I had to fix that connection up here in the front with some broken wires, and my breather, air breather for the engine was loose up under the gas tank, and I would have never seen that if I didn't take out the gas tank. But other than that, if I had to put a scale from 1 to 10 on it, it's probably a 6. You just have to take time taking plastic off, which is not too big of a deal. It just takes time. But you know, I got a little dirty, but my pocket's okay. So you know, you take this to the shop. I'm always ones, like I said, just try it. If you can't do it after you try it, then you take it to the shop. But it shouldn't have been that bad. But okay, guys, I'm gonna stop rambling and finish this video up. I appreciate you guys watching. Until my next video, we'll see you.